The story begins with a ticket collector named Joe, who appeared very melancholic because he was not getting the promotion he desired in his job. Instead, his friend Ben had received the promotion he had wanted. Ben was quite adept at finding passengers. His nature was very aggressive and strict, causing everyone to immediately pay the fine at his first warning. Joe, on the other hand, couldn't do this at all. When he asked for fines, passengers usually ignored him as if he had no value. Now we see another worker named Alan, who worked alongside Joe. Joe liked Alan a lot, but had never told him so. One day, Ben was feeling a bit unwell and was sent on a train to collect tickets because the train had left. Alan was checking each passenger's ticket one by one. After a while, he spoke rudely to a girl. At the same time, she didn't show her ticket to Joe, then said to show her ticket to another woman. The woman was constantly searching for tickets in her bag, but she couldn't find them there. When the lady said to Joe that she couldn't find her ticket, then Joe told her that Madam would have to pay a fine. The lady was very angry and said that she always took tickets, but today her ticket fell somewhere. But Joe was adamant that he had to find the lady because all this came under the railway rules. Now, under compulsion, the lady had to pay the fine. In this way, Joe collected tickets from all the passengers who came there and fined those who didn't have tickets. Now, after covering all the passengers, Joe started resting a little in his cabin. The train was running continuously, but a few hours later suddenly, due to some noise in the train, she went to that place and stopped the train. The driver also could not understand how the train stopped, so he went outside to check. After checking thoroughly, the driver discovered that a deer had come under the train, causing the emergency system to apply brakes. The driver tried to remove the deer, but it was completely stuck and had already passed away. Just then, the driver noticed some noises coming from the bushes behind. Therefore, the driver started looking towards those bushes continuously to see what was there. In the next moment, a dangerous creature emerged from those dense bushes and immediately started attacking the driver. At one point, it seemed like the creature had wolf-like legs. A werewolf, half creature and half human due to being affected by an infection. The dangerous creature had caught the driver and started eating him. Even after spending half an hour here, the driver did not return. Therefore, Joe and all the passengers were very scared. They were unable to understand why the train stopped in this deserted area. However, Joe is trying to understand that the driver came to see. We should wait for him until he returns, but because it's been so long, all the passengers were saying that we should go and check once. However, Joe is not agreeing at all because doing all these things could jeopardize his job. But now, after waiting for a whole hour, everyone needed to find out where the driver had gone and until when the train would remain stopped. Due to the insistence of the passengers, Joe opens the train's door, after which all the passengers start getting off one by one. He tells everyone to walk slowly because the area was quite dense. They slowly start searching for the driver amidst the jungle, unaware of the terrifying danger awaiting them inside. After a short distance into the jungle, Joe and Alan see that the driver's dead body was lying there, with someone having mutilated his entire body. Joe and Alan began to hear footsteps approaching, which they understood must be some dangerous animal present here that had also killed the driver. Therefore, Joe and Alan immediately started taking all the passengers back inside the train. By now, with so many screams being heard, the werewolf must have realized that its prey was here, so it started running towards them continuously. All the passengers started pushing and shoving to get inside the train as quickly as possible, although many passengers had already gone inside before the dangerous creature reached them. However, one lady's foot got stuck in the door, and now the dangerous creature had started attacking the lady's foot. The lady was screaming loudly, and all the passengers were trying to help her get inside. The dangerous creature was lifting and slamming the lady's foot from top to bottom. Finally, the passengers succeeded in pulling the lady inside, whose foot had been injured by the dangerous creature. Alan quickly applied a bandage to her wound to stop the bleeding. After seeing all these horrifying things, he directly goes to contact someone. The rescue team was called, but the shocking thing was that there was no signal in that place that could connect with all the passengers who were forced to leave from there. One of them, a man named Stuart, who was very selfish, asked what kind of animal could be so dangerous. That's when the lady explained that she had seen it, and it wasn't any animal. Rather, its body looked just like ours humans. Perhaps it was created by combining both human and animal, as were the werewolves made. However, none of the passengers believed the old lady. They all thought that because of being cut on her leg, she was hallucinating and she imagining things in her mind. Suddenly, it became clear that a large man was hiding inside the bathroom, who had been sitting and defecating since then. The fat man sits down on the side as if he doesn't know anything about the conditions. Then suddenly, the girl's phone started ringing, which had talked to the woman very badly. All the people went to that girl and said to ask for help, although the girl had told everything that she needed the help of the rescue team, and she told them to save her in any way and tells her location, but her phone was dead in a few hours. And the girl was so used to the use of the battery, she told the rescue team that she would come here sometime. But suddenly, she was the dangerous werewolf. The train's window was broken, and the rude girl was caught and pulled, and by now, the girl would have eaten the werewolf. All these things have made the passengers even more scared and not understanding what they will do in this situation, and rescue team can be reached, or not. Now an old man keeps all the passengers calm. Because the old man knew how to kill the werewolf, he said that all of you should take weapons in your hands, and we will have to close the doors and windows properly in any situation. Accepting the old man's words, Alan and all the passengers started doing this work. Here we were shown that the condition of the old woman whom the werewolf had bitten was getting worse and worse. But her husband, who thanked Joe because he saved his wife's life, thanked him. A while later, that lady's health suddenly started deteriorating here. She had started vomiting blood. So much so that her teeth also started falling out. Stuart, who was selfish, started saying to everyone that the werewolf has bitten this lady, otherwise maybe she will also convert into a werewolf in a while. Hearing this, Joe and the lady's husband started shouting that it is not at all like that. My wife is just a little sick. Just then, if someone tried to touch it, no one would be worse off than me. Then the one who noticed that we are one member short, and it's not someone else. It was the fat man who had gone inside the bathroom just now. He immediately ran to save that fat man near the bathroom and started telling him to get out of the bathroom as soon as possible, because due to the slight shaking of the train, he had estimated that the werewolf was not anywhere else but above the train. The fat man comfortably emptied his stomach and started washing his hands, but the next moment, the werewolf broke the roof and entered the train, killing the fat man in one go. The fat man's blood had already fallen all around, so much so that even if he wanted to, he could not help that man. Now, for the first time, the werewolf, who sees the face so closely, increases towards the werewolf to attack. But just then Alan and the other passengers who were fully prepared immediately pulled Joe into a compartment. They quickly closed the door to prevent the werewolf from entering, but the werewolf was much bigger and stronger. The one who had broken the door in one go immediately entered and started attacking all the passengers. However, as informed by the old man, everyone had an iron weapon in their hands, with which they continuously attacked the werewolf without fear. In a way, there was a fierce battle inside the train, but due to the large number of passengers, they attacked the werewolf from all sides, causing it to be severely injured and killed. After approaching closer, Joe notices a ring on the werewolf's hand, confirming that the werewolf was once a human who had been converted into a werewolf after being bitten. After carefully observing this, Stuart mentions that the lady was also bitten by the werewolf, meaning she might also eventually get converted into a werewolf. The lady's husband was pleading with everyone not to kill his wife, assuring them she would recover somehow. Suddenly, another werewolf revived and started howling loudly, visibly enraged. He immediately took his weapon and went directly towards that werewolf, continuously attacking its face. Due to the severe beating, the werewolf must have indeed died. But due to the werewolf's howling, changes started happening in the lady's body. She began behaving very differently. Here we are shown that there was not just one werewolf present in the nearby forest, but there were many werewolves ready to hunt. Here Stuart went against everyone and wanted to kill the lady because he felt that the lady would turn into a werewolf. Before doing so, the lady's husband and others continued to stop Stuart and tie him up by making him unconscious. They all tied up the lady too. The lady was infected because if by chance she had converted into a werewolf, no one would be able to harm her. Now, everyone started trying to figure out how to restart the train. Among them was a mechanic boy who explained that there was a leak somewhere on the train causing all the lights to go out. Therefore, the mechanic boy decided to go with his friend to fix that leak. Once the leak is fixed, these buttons will turn green, meaning the train will be ready to run. After planning everything here, the mechanic and his friend step out of the train. The mechanic boy quickly finds and starts fixing the leak problem. While he goes under the train, his friend remains outside, who is already very scared. Suddenly, he hears a voice shouting from the jungle, as if someone is calling for help. Therefore, the boy picks up a nearby axe. He started going a little deeper into the jungle to help the girl in trouble. Just as he looked up on a tree, he saw a werewolf attacking that same girl who had spoken rudely earlier. The werewolf had spotted the girl now. The boy, completely scared, began to run away from there, but as he looked around, he found himself surrounded by many werewolves. Despite firing shots from his hands, the werewolves caught him and completely gnawed him. Now, here, two werewolves came running towards the train and were caught by the boy's hands. But after seeing the human scent from the train and no one else, that was the same mechanic boy who was trying to fix the leak problem under the train. The girl also understood that werewolves are coming here, so she lifts her feet and body slightly so that no one can see the werewolf was not able to see the girl at that time. But they had no idea that the mechanic boy was still stuck under the train, trying to escape from the werewolf. The situation turned terrifying when the girl was fully converted into a werewolf. Suddenly, she gruesomely attacked her husband first, not sparing anyone else. All the passengers started running away to save their lives from that lady. She was completely out of control and attacking them. Stuart and the same lady who hadn't been given a ticket were present. The lady, terrified, stood frozen in one place. Just then, with the train door opening right behind her, two werewolves caught her. The lady kept asking Stuart for help, but as we already know, Stuart was quite selfish. He cared only about his own life, so Stuart pushed the lady towards the werewolf, causing all the werewolves to chase her. But as they say, evil deeds always lead to evil consequences. Now, that old lady who had been converted into a werewolf. She approaches Stuart to kill him, and Stuart is completely determined to move backward. But perhaps Stuart was lucky that someone comes from behind and kills the werewolf lady. But here, Stuart was getting very angry because he couldn't understand why he didn't help the lady. Stuart explains that the werewolf had already caught the lady. I couldn't do anything about it. Alan keeps taking care of and says that we need to get out of here. But here Stuart was smarter than all of them. He knew that many werewolves had entered the train, So he trapped Joe and Alan in another compartment and went to the compartment with Alan. Many werewolves have come around Alan, who is constantly moving towards them to cut down. There was not even a weapon with which they could protect themselves. Just then, suddenly, the mechanic comes there, who had set fire to the petrol and was killing those werewolves. The mechanic boy had set fire to all the werewolves present in the train. And as soon as he tells Joe and Alan to escape from here, the mechanic boy is caught by the werewolf and pulled inside the train. They finish him off completely. So now, to save Joe and Alan's lives, they had to run into the jungle. Here, Joe tells Alan about his feelings that he loves her very much. Alan couldn't understand what her response should be, but Joe trusted his love, so he tells Alan to escape from here, and he will stop all the werewolves. Although Alan didn't want to leave Joe like this, Joe swore by his love, so Alan leaves from there. As soon as Alan leaves, Joe is surrounded by werewolves from all sides who are trying continuously to save her from all. Here, among so many passengers, only Alan survived and arrived at the station. In Alan's hands was her dearest lover's tag, which she might always keep with her. Now here in the jungle, we see Stuart thinking that maybe I'll survive, but suddenly many werewolves come out of the bushes, one of whom had now converted into a werewolf. Together they kill Stuart and make him their meal, and this is how our story ends right here.